Let's just jump right into it. Today we're unpacking a hidden mental trap that causes so much unnecessary suffering in our daily lives. We are looking at something that almost every single one of us does, often without even realizing it. We're going to unpack a specific bug in our mental software, one that can take a totally manageable setback and turn it into a catastrophic lifelong sentence in our minds.
Have you ever, say, fumbled a social interaction or missed a deadline, and instantly your brain flashes this giant neon sign reading, "I'm a total disaster"? Yeah, me too. It's an incredibly common human experience, but why exactly does our brain take one isolated data point and use it to paint our entire identity?
Section 1. What is overgeneralizing? The cognitive distortion of permanent defeat.
Detailed right there in the catalog of cognitive distortions, overgeneralizing is essentially this. It's the mental error of taking a single, limited piece of evidence, or maybe just one isolated negative event, and automatically assuming it represents an ongoing, permanent pattern of defeat in your life. You fail one test, boom, you're a failure. One person rejects you, nobody will ever like you. You make a mistake at work, you're always making mistakes. It's wild how our brains do this, stretching one tiny present moment to completely cover our past, our future, and honestly, our entire character.
Moving on to Section 2, the always and never trap, the vocabulary of a distorted reality.
Look at the stark contrast here between what actually happened and the devastating conclusion our mind just automatically jumps to. Overgeneralization doesn't just sit quietly in the background, you know? It literally shapes the vocabulary we use inside our own heads. The objective reality might just be, I failed a math test. That's a fact. Simple. But the distortion leaps all the way to, I am a total failure at everything. Your brain takes a temporary verb, failing, and turns it into a permanent noun, a failure.
And you can actually catch this happening in real time. When you hear your inner voice throwing around extreme trigger words, it is a massive red flag that you're no longer dealing with the facts. I'm talking about words like always, never, everyone, and everything. If you catch yourself thinking, man, people are always ignoring me, or I literally never get a break, just pause. These absolute terms are the absolute fingerprints of an overgeneralizing mind. They leave zero room for nuance or exceptions or actual growth.
Section 3. The cost of distorted reality. Confusing the map with the territory.
This brings us to a fascinating point. Overgeneralizing isn't just some harmless bad habit. It fundamentally breaks how we navigate the world. The crucial takeaway here is that our thoughts are merely a map. Confusing our mental representations with objective reality is a huge mistake. The map is not the territory. The words you use to describe your life inside your head aren't your actual life. They're just models. But when you overgeneralize, you're basically drawing a deeply flawed map and then blindly trusting it to guide you.
Think of it like this. Overgeneralizing is like drawing a massive dead end all over your personal map just because you hit one single roadblock out there in the actual territory. Imagine you're driving, you hit a pothole, and you immediately conclude that every single road on the entire planet is completely destroyed. Sounds ridiculous, right? But psychologically, that is exactly what we do. We take one tiny piece of evidence and completely overwrite reality with it. Believing this broken map has real, severe consequences. It drains your emotional energy and tricks you right into a cycle of self-sabotage. The source material makes it clear that this causes enormous, totally unnecessary emotional suffering. Because think about it, if you genuinely believe you will never succeed, why on earth would you even try? You just end up viewing yourself as a victim of circumstance, giving up way too early and living in this overwhelmingly negative reality that you've effectively created for yourself.
Section 4. The ABCs of breaking free. Upgrading your mind's toolset.
The good news is we can patch this mental glitch. How? Through metacognition. That is the practice of actually observing your thoughts instead of just blindly believing them. Thinking is just a tool we use every day, but we're so used to it that we forget it's a tool. We just lug our thoughts around everywhere as if they're objective truth. Metacognition lets you step back and ask, wait a second, is this thought actually true? Or is my brain just catastrophizing again?
To make this practical, we can use the ABCDE model. It visually organizes this whole psychological concept into a really simple, memorable process. This framework is fantastic because it breaks that automatic, lightning-fast cycle between what happens to you and how you react to it. It forces a crucial pause.
Let's look at how the first 3 steps play out when you're on autopilot, leading you straight into the trap. Step A is the activating event. Let's say you miss a doctor's appointment. Instantly, your brain forms step B, the belief, I always mess everything up. Notice that trigger word, always? And because you buy into that belief, you get step C, the consequence. You feel guilty, you feel super anxious, and you don't even bother calling to reschedule. You let that broken map dictate your actions.
But here is where you step in and change the game. Step D is dispute. You challenge the thought. You put it on the witness stand and demand hard evidence. You ask, do I actually always mess up? Well, no. I'm usually on time. I just made a mistake today. And doing that leads directly to step E, the effect. A brand new, calmer outlook. Instead of giving up, you pick up the phone, you call the doctor, and you reschedule. Just like that, you've realigned your map with the actual territory.
Section 5. Rewriting your story, catching the errors in real time. Beyond the ABCs, the source material gives us another really fascinating tool for self-awareness, the inversion technique. This is a rapid-fire way to snap out of habitual thought loops, especially when other people are involved. When you catch yourself making these massive, sweeping claims, taking that statement and completely flipping it on its head can reveal blind spots you had absolutely no idea were there.
Just by flipping a sweeping, overgeneralized statement, you force an immediate aha moment that totally shatters your rigid assumptions. For example, if you find yourself fuming, thinking, you are causing all the problems, invert it. Change it to, I am causing all the problems. Now, the point here isn't to falsely blame yourself just to feel bad. The goal is to shatter that absolute, unquestionable certainty of your overgeneralization. It forces your brain to look for the grain of truth on the other side, bringing nuance back to a situation you were previously seeing in pure black and white.
So, to keep your mental map accurate going forward, set up a few basic ground rules to root your thinking in actual, observable evidence. First, eliminate those extreme terms, the always and the nevers. Second, put setbacks into proper perspective. Remember, it's an isolated event, not a permanent curse. Avoid those sweeping judgments, stick to the facts you can actually observe, and give yourself and others the grace of remembering that nobody is perfect.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take this one crucial thought away from the source material. One incident does not define you, others, or the world. It is incredibly freeing once you actually internalize that. A failure is just an event. It's not an identity. A mistake is just a moment in time. It's not a permanent pattern. So I'll leave you with this. What always or never will you challenge today? Next time you face a setback, ask yourself that question and take back control of your reality. Catch those trigger words. Dispute them on the witness stand of your mind. Stop letting a single pothole convince you the whole road is ruined. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep thinking clearly.